सान्द्रानन्दावबोधात्मकमनुपमितं कालदेशावदिभ्या निर्मुक्तं नित्यमुक्तं निगमशतसहस्रेण निर्भास्यमानम् अस्पष्टं दृष्टमात्रे पुनः उरुपुरुषार्थात्मकं ब्रह्मतत्त्वं तत्तावत् भाति साक्षात् गुरुपवनपुरे हन्त भाग्यं जनानां योगीन्द्राणां त्वदङ्गेष्वधिकसुमधुरं मुक्तिभाजां निवासो भक्तानां कामवर्षद्युतरुकिसलयं नाथ ते पादमूलं नित्यं चित्तस्थितं मे पवनपुरपते कृष्णा कारुण्य सिंधो कृष्णा कारुण्य सिंधो हृत्वा निशेषतापान् प्रदिशतु परमानन्द सन्दोहलक्ष्मी
Gurupavanapure Hantabhagyam Jananam. Namaskaram to all the Astikas. We have been witnessing the beautiful Srishti Kramam as narrated by Shuka to Parikshit and as summarized in Śrīman Nārāyaṇīyam by Bhaṭṭatiri. He has spoken about the dissolution first, the Pralaya Kalam first, how Bhagavan is in Yoga Nidra. Then Paramatma from his Yoga Nidra rises and then instigates the creation. How does he do that? From Prakriti, Maya, Tirodhanakarim, Viparita Jnana Jananim. That instigates the Prakriti. Prakriti gives rise to Ahankara. Ahankara with the three Ahankaras, Satvika, Rajasa and Tamasa, gives rise to the Panchabhuta, Pancha Tanmatras, Pancha Jnanendriya, Pancha Karmendriya and Manas. So we have roughly 24. Now you may be wondering, why am I counting it when Bhaṭṭatiri has not? This 24 will help us when we do Kapilopadesham. That time you will remember what I have told now. So this is the Srishti Kramam that happens. And as the Srishti happens, even the Devas are created. The Digganas, the Devas like Varuna, Vayu and so on, they are also created. Now Bhaṭṭatiri continues in the 8th Shloka. Shabdad vyoma tatas sajatitha vibho sparsham tato marutam tasmad rupamato mahottacharasam toyam cha gandham mahim evam madhava purva kalanadadyadya dharmanvitam bhutagramamimam tvameva bhagavan prakashayas-tamasat he vibho tvam sasarjita. You have finally created. Hey Vibho, the one with Vibhutvam, the one who pervades everywhere. Sarvaswami, Hey Bhagavan. He says, Tvam, you have Sasarjita. I keep telling you, whenever Bhaṭṭatiri says you specifically means Krishna of Guruvayur, known as Guruvayurappan. Tvam Sasarjita. You have created Vyoma Shabdat Sparsham Tataha. Vyoma Shabdat. Ether, which is the ethereal space that comes from sound. So there is Shabdam, which is the Tanmatram. Then that is associated with the Akasha Tattvam. Then he says Sparsham Tataha. Then that gives rise to. So there is Tanmatra called Shabdam that gets associated with one first of the Panchabhutas called Akasham. This instigates further and creates the next Tanmatram called as Sparsham. He says Sparsham Tataha. Marutam tataha. Then that finds substratum, its base, its support in air. So Sparsham finds its support in air. Marutam is Vayu Tattvam. Then Rupam Tasmat. Then comes the Tanmatra which is associated with Rupam. And Rupam gets associated with fire. He says, then Rupam Tasmat Mahaha Ataha Rasam Cha Atha. Then whatever Rupam we see that gets associated, you see that fire concept, right? That gets associated with the ice. Then he says, which is fire, because fire, Rupam, they all go together, and finally you sense that with the ice. And from there you have to go to that of Ruchi. He says, Rasam Cha Atha. So there is a taste, Ruchi. How is this Ruchi associated? It is associated with the tongue. So there is this Jihva. So he says, Rasam Cha Atha Toyam Gandham Mahim Cha. So then comes this water which is associated with Ruchi, and that is associated, that instigates further to finally come up with the smell. Gandham Mahim Cha. That smell is associated, that Tanmatra is associated with Bhumi, Mahim Cha. So he says, Vyoma Shabdat, Sparsham Tataha, Marutam Tataha, Rupam Tasmat, Mahaha Ataha, Rasam Cha Atha, Toyam Gandham Mahim Cha. So he has given the 5 Tanmatras, how they are associated with the Panchabhutas and how they instigate one another. Then, He Madhava, the one who does all this for Bhaṭṭatiri, Mahalakshmi is equally important. Every now and then he will invoke Mahalakshmi as Shri, here as Ma, Dhava as Pati, Madhava, Mahalakshmi's Pati. He Madhava, Bhagavan, who has got all the 6 qualities. Evam, Tvam, Eva Prakashayaha. You alone make everything to shine. Prakashayaha. Imam, Bhutagramam. So he gives you a description. He says there is Panchabhutas, Panchatanmatras, and this you have to put under Bhutagramam. For all this, Bhagavan is the cause. Adyadhya Dharmanvitam. Now for each of the Panchabhutas, there is a Dharma, there is a Tanmatra associated, which is again the grace of Bhagavan. Then Purva Kalanat, due to the association of the preceding work. See, for example, there is Akasha, Shabdam. That, when finds its substratum there, gives rise to the next Tanmatram, which is Sparsham. So there is a connection. It is not as if they are acting in silos. So he says, Purva Kalanat Tamasat. So Tamas Ahankara comes into picture. Satvika Ahankara Vaiharikaha. The Vaikarikaha, we saw how the Devas were created. Now he gives you a list and says this is that of Tamasat, which is Tamas Ahankara. Now he continues in the 9th Shloka. Ete bhutaganas tathendriyagana devascha jata pruthak noshe kurbhuvananda nirmita vidhau devairamibhistatha tvam nana vidha suktibhirnuta gunas tattvanyamunyan vishan Cheshta Shakti Mudiryatani Ghatayan Hairanyam Andam Vyadha Ete Bhutaganaha Cha Indriyaganaha. So he has got Indriyas on one side, Pancha Jnanendriyam, Pancha Karmendriyam. He groups them. Then he says Bhutaganaha. So we have the Pancha Bhutas, Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Apaha, Prithvi. Then the Pancha Tanmatras, which is Shabdam, Sparsham, Rupam, Ruchi, Gandham. So Pancha Bhutas, Pancha Tanmatras, one community. Pancha Jnanendriyas, Pancha Karmendriyas, one community. Ete Bhutaganaha, one side Bhutaganaha, Cha Indriyaganaha, Tatha Devaha Jataha. Then the presiding deities, every Devata presides over this, which we have already seen before. Prithak no Shekuhu. They were not capable of Bhuvananda Nirmita Vidhau. See, the others who claim to be Devas couldn't create this cosmic andam that you see, this creation that you see. It is you who has done it. Bhuvananda Nirmita Vidhau. Then after that, what did you do? Tada Tvam Nuta Gunaha. After all this was created, the Devas were created. They started singing praises about you. Tada Tvam Nuta Gunaha Nana Vidha Suktibhihi. Even in Dashamaskandam Srimad Bhagavatam, when Brahma goes along with Prithvi, Gaur Bhutva Ashrumuki Khinna, that is the line which says Purusham Purusha Suktena. So this Purusha Narayana was awakened with Purusha Suktam. Ukta, say, Suktam, well said. What all did they say? Maybe Purusha Suktam, Shri Suktam, Bhu Suktam, Nila Suktam, Vishnu Suktam, Narayana Anuvakam or Suktam. All this was said. So he says, Nanavidha Suktibihi, Amibhihi, Devaihi, Avishanna, Amuni Tattvani. Then you entered those categories. Udirya, Cheshta Shaktim Ghatayan. See, you may create an object, but that object has to function. We buy a clock, the clock may not work. So something should be there in each of these Pancha Bhutas, Pancha Tanmatras, Pancha Jnanendriyas, Pancha Karmendriyas to activate them. It is you who stays, Udirya, Cheshta Shaktim Ghatayan, Vyadhaha, Hairanyam Andam. So, Panchabhutas, Panchatanmatras, Panchajnanendriyas, Panchakarmendriyas, the Mahat Tattvam, the Ahankara Tattvam, the three gunas, and all of that is found in one Brahmandam. How does this Brahmandam function? Bhaṭṭatiri says, because you stay as the inner Antaratma to it. Vyadhaha Hairanyam Andam. Next comes the 10th Shloka. Andam tat khalu purva srishta salile tishthat sahasram samaha. Nirbhinda akritas chaturdasha jagadrupam virada hwayam sahasrai karapada murdhanivahai nissesha jivatmakaha nirbhatosi marutpuradhipasamam trayasva sarvamayat tat andam khalu atishtata. That cosmic sphere indeed remained. Sahasram samaha purva srishta salile. For 1,000 years, all this Brahmandam remained in the waters. We say, right, there is deluge. Even at the beginning we said, there is all water. That is what many research scholars say. This could be treated as ice ages. Ice ages come at some intervals. So these ice ages, the temperature will go so low that everything is frozen, there is ice. So there is no activity for some time. When they start melting, that is when the water level rises in the oceans and in all the water bodies. So here he says, Sahasram Samaha Purva Srishta Salile. That time the entire cosmic creation was in the waters. Tataha Tvam Pravishyatat. At that point in time in this Brahmandam, you entered. Tataha Tvam, you Pravishyatat. You entered that Brahmandam. Nirbhindan Chaturdasha Jagadrupam. As you entered, see, typically in a mother's womb, if you ask medical practitioners, great research scholars, they will tell you there is amnion, chorion, placenta. So there is amniotic fluid and there is a child. Similarly, this Brahmandam gets divided into 7 and 7, 14 layers. So it is called as Chaturdasha Bhuvanam. Interestingly, one of the composers called Muthuswami Dikshita uses his musical knowledge to bring about the essence of Chaturdasha Bhuvanam. Shri Vishwanatham Bhajeham Chaturdasha Bhuvana Ruparagamālika Bharana Dharananta Karanam Shri Vishwa Chaturdasha Bhuvana Rupa Ragamalika. He uses 14 ragas for the 14 words. Similarly, he says Nirbhindan Chaturdasha Jagadrupam. This world got divided. Akrithaha Virada Hwayam. So the one who did this distribution of 14 layers stays within as Virada Hwayam, something huge, which is Virat Purusha. Tataha Sahasraihi Karapada Murdhanivahaihi. Then you came with thousands of hands, thousands of feet. So he describes the Virat-rupam. Tvam Nirbhataha Asi. In that form as well you look radiant, effulgent. Nishesha Jivatmakaha. Now there is no creation that was not formed without your grace. That time, the one who did that as Virat Purusha, who is it? Hey, Marutpuradhipa, the one who stands in front of me is the Lord of Guruvayur. Hey Krishna, Marutpuradhipa, Tvam Saha, you of such nature, all that nature habits that I have described, Trayasvamam Sarvamayat, I am suffering from ailments. You have created the worlds. How long will it take for you to look at me and remove my ailment? Why don't you do that? trayasvamam sarvamayat. So please remove my ailments. So Bhaṭṭatiri, from the time of dissolution, then to the act of creation, then the Srishti Kramam, and finally saying that Virat Purusha comes into picture. He has to tell us what Virat Purusha, how and when he distributes the world. That we will see in the next Daśhakaṃ.
कल्याणरूपाय कलौ जनानां कल्याणदात्रे करुणासुधाब्दे कंवादिदिव्यायुधसत्कराय वातालयाधीश नमो नमस्ते. नारायण 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 नारायण